joint acquisition of assets. Now, I highly recommend that you never, ever, ever, and if you don't mind me leading your audience like I normally do, somebody in the chat room write never, ever, 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 ever have a joint bank account with your woman. Okay, let me bring that back one more again. Never, ever, 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 ever have a joint bank account with your woman, with your love interest, period, point blank.
Wow.
Okay? Because if you do that on the day that a day before she files for divorce, that joint bank account, which has her name on it, is going to be empty. Okay? And her new boyfriend are going to take that money and go have a great time somewhere on your dime, even if you have the majority of it in there is your name and she has a little few dollars. If she got access to it, you can best bet it's on and cracking, as we used to say back in the 90s. And she went off with that. So don't do it. Just cut down on the foolishness.
Men who complain about gold diggers, they have no gold. They have no money. What are you worried about? You're worried about other men's money? That's crazy. Yeah, stack your own bread before you worry about somebody else's.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Humiliation.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how many men I've stitched that are like, see, this is why you gotta worry about these gold. What? Show me a W-2. I want to see how much money you made last year, and I'll tell you if you should be worried about gold diggers. Don't worry about it. I promise you're okay. You're safe. Don't worry.
These days, there's no shortage of disparaging talk for quote-unquote average guys that are plus or minus one standard deviation from the mean salary in the United States, or better yet, the world. If you are a guy, however, that watches a channel like mine or many channels that are similar to mine, you're probably a guy that's betting on yourself and your future. You're not betting on yourself making the same salary this year, next year. This means you're reading books, you're studying things, you're taking tests, you're getting certifications to improve your lot in life. This is where I think it is the insidious nature of young ladies saying that you don't need a prenup if you don't have money yet, because they're not talking about your future earnings. It is almost kind of lie by omission. It's one of the reasons why the conversation between Dr. Tiasan Johnson and attorney Dennis Spurling is so important, is because if you're a guy going into marriage and you're not considering your future earnings, then you're selling yourself short. Because there's one thing that's 100% sure. She is certainly counting on your salary going up. And that's why she doesn't want you to prepare yourself for it.
Damn, I don't care if you're out in the car sleeping, okay? So what happens when you have a home that's a separate piece of property, but because it was the primary residence or the matrimonial residence, the judge is not going to put that woman and those kids out. That's gonna make you leave, even if it was your house beforehand. So that's why you have a prenuptial agreement that says you don't have an indefinite time to stay in the house until the divorce is over. You got to get out of here in 60 days or 30 days or 15 days.
This is a very important conversation, and I really appreciate Dr. Tiasan Johnson and attorney Dennis Spurling for having it so that we can partake of it. We don't see marriage as a business deal in any of the Hollywood stuff that is brought to our attention. In none of the stories are we told that this is the most important financial business decision that we're ever going to make, not just at home in America, but anywhere we go. But these are things that we must consider when we're getting married, because when it all falls apart, you're going to find yourself in a courtroom, and there is nothing fun about the inside of one of those.
Typically what happens, and this is the play, when a woman plans on filing for a divorce, typically what she will do is find a reason to file a restraining order against you. Wow. Okay, let me say that again. She will find a reason. Her lawyer will say, well, has he been abusive to you or the children? Has he been abusive, verbally abusive, whatever? Okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to file a restraining order against him and alleged abuse. And then that way the judge will order him, because the judge is going to want to be safe and sorry. The judge wants to be reelected. Heaven forbid we'll have some poor woman abused by her husband and not allow him to stay in the house. So we're going to get him out of there. You see what I mean? And so now she's got the house. She's got interim spousal support. She's got interim child support, which is money you pay her to help her maintain the lifestyle in which she had become accustomed to while the divorce is pending. On top of that, she's paying child support, and she may have her own job. While you, on the other hand, giving up 25% of your income plus your money that you're earning is going to her, basically pre-alimony, pre-divorce alimony. Now she's all right.
捞女们正在慢慢变成老赖们。
Gold diggers are slowly turning into defaulters. This Women's Day might mark an unpleasant beginning for many women, because two painful data points have revealed a harsh reality. The first alarming statistic comes from Valentine's Day. Data shows that in 2025, men's spending during Valentine's Day dropped sharply by 45% compared to 2024. Meanwhile, men's spending on self-improvement and personal investment has surged. Expenditures on things like fitness classes and digital tech products have increased by over 70%. This means that men are no longer willing to pay for so-called romance like before, nor are they easily manipulated by the consumerist trap of spending for her means love.
Y'all heard something today that blew my mind. Someone said men save money being single and women save money being in a relationship. Tell me that's not deep.
A measure of credit is in store for our Chinese brothers that are moving in a fashion that's more in accordance with transactional modern marriage. They're simply saying that if we're going to have this transaction, then I want what I want out of it, and if I'm not getting that, then I'll just spend the money on myself and not even feel guilty about it. And the repercussions are playing themselves out in a manner that we'll probably soon see where we are if we play our cards correctly.
The second set of data is even more painful. Statistics from multiple financial data platforms show that female borrowers' loan default rate has skyrocketed in the past year, a year-on-year increase of 20 times. Even more shocking, up to 80% of these overdue debts were used for consumption related to beauty treatments, luxury goods, and travel, what they call ritualistic spending. In other words, after men stopped paying for the so-called goddess economy, some women, in order to maintain their persona and high consumption lifestyle, have turned to online loans, gradually turning into heavily indebted female defaulters. So why is this shift happening? The answer is simple. We are going through a fundamental shift in consumer mindset. This Valentine's Day passed by quietly, without the overwhelming Goddess Day promotions of the past.
Coffee dates, ice cream dates, drink dates, etc. are low effort, okay? I had this man ask me on a date tonight, and he said, oh, let's go for drinks. I would love to take you out. And I told him, respectfully, no, I only do dinner dates.
I'm not a hard woman to date. I just expect nothing less than goddess treatment. Goddess treatment looks like being valued, respected, and cherished in a way that aligns with my worth and my self-esteem. It's about receiving love, care, and effort in a way that makes me feel special.
Even Women's Day quietly slipped by on an ordinary Saturday. In previous years, by this time, Goddess Day and Queen's Day promotional ads would have been everywhere, but this year it's strangely silent. This is not a coincidence, but a trend. Among women, many still indulge in the fantasy of being pampered through consumption, but the male mindset has long changed. The simp economy is collapsing, and men are awakening collectively. Rather than constantly giving in a distorted relationship and being drained by consumerism, it's better not to date at all and live freely. Instead of being an ATM, they now prefer to spend money on themselves, investing in health, hobbies, and career.
At the end of the day, instead of racking their brains trying to dig, it's better to just get a proper job and earn a living honestly. The era of making money while lying down is over. The simp economy has collapsed. It's time to switch careers, ladies. So, brothers, now you understand, right? When you spend money, don't recklessly spend it on women anymore.
When I said that we need to give credit to our Chinese brothers, I meant it. This brother is going to take us to church.
Brothers, have you noticed a shocking trend lately? More and more women can't even pay off their credit cards anymore. Overdue payments have become a daily occurrence. Why? Because the simp economy that once supported their high-consumption lifestyle has completely collapsed. Statistics show that the credit card delinquency rate among women has surged more than 20 times compared to before. Do you know why? because these gold diggers can no longer find simps to help them pay off their credit cards. Yet they were always eating Japanese food or having afternoon tea. They wore nothing but LV and Gucci, used Chanel lipstick, drank expensive red wine, and lived in high-end apartments. Could they afford all that on their own? Of course not. It was all funded by a group of simps who willingly paid for everything and pampered them. Those men thought they were investing in love, but in reality they were just being drained by consumerism. But now the simps have woken up. People no longer foolishly act as ATMs. So what's the result? These gold diggers have already gotten used to a luxurious lifestyle, and there's no way they can go back to low-consumption living. So in order to maintain their so-called high-end and refined lifestyle, they have no choice but to keep maxing out credit cards and applying for online loans, eventually falling into a debt trap. What's even more ironic is that they're too embarrassed to borrow money from their parents. What's even more ridiculous is that now there are people organizing gold digger strategy meetings, discussing tactics on how to keep cashing in. They're talking about targeting high-end men, especially divorced ones. Some are even proposing a relay strategy. One person goes first to dig some gold, then another takes over for the next round, continuing the cycle until the man is fully drained. Doesn't that sound hilarious? What kind of meeting are they even holding? Some kind of joke conference? No matter how many meetings they hold, it won't change the fact that men have woken up. It's completely meaningless. At the end of the day, instead of racking their brains trying to dig, it's better to just get a proper job and earn a living honestly. The era of making money while lying down is over. The simp economy has collapsed. It's time to switch careers, ladies. So, brothers, now you understand, right? When you spend money, don't recklessly spend it on women anymore. Can't resist the urge? Then buy a keyboard you like, upgrade your graphics card, or sign up for a fitness class. Make your money meaningful. Let's stop spending for the gold diggers. Let them be mad about it.
All I can do is give you some safeguards. And one of the safeguards is having yourself a lawyer, videotaping it, recording it, have them record their mindset at the time, sign it within a certain time period before the marriage. Like, I think the minimum is 90 days. You understand what I'm saying? That's how you want to play that.
I'm sure that there are some people that think that, according to Dr. Tia-San Johnson and attorney Dennis Spurling, you should bring up conversation of a prenuptial agreement at the very first meeting is a step too far. But if you are a person who has confidence in your ability now and confidence in what you're going to do in the future, it is only prudent in an environment where many of the unwritten rules are only implied as a way or an underhanded tactic to get guys to act in a traditional way in a modern setting. A lesson we can learn from our Chinese brothers is a simple one. This is no longer a traditional environment, so the idea of doing things traditionally have to get swept away. Instead, guys have to be intentional about what's going to happen in 5 years if she gets bored. And what happens in that 5-year period where I increase my earnings every year and she is probably saving her money, waiting for her exit plan. When that 5-year period comes along, if you have already done your homework, you're going to be pulling a play from a playbook that you've already prepared. Something that many of us probably haven't considered, but in this modern environment, it is necessary to, no matter where you're getting married or whom you're having a family with. The times have changed, the tactics have to change with them. It's not saying that love is not love. It's just having an insurance policy in case that love runs out. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.